I started my own business because I had a choice between being unemployed or self-employed.
When I started raising my children, I knew that I wanted to do something closer to home. This is my hometown, and it was a business that I was able to put in my hometown. I was able to be close to family, so it was just exactly the business that I was looking for.
A big part of it was that I didn't want to do all the work that isn't fun. You know.
I could either work for someone else or I could work for myself, so I decided to work for myself.
At first glance, it might not seem like a bed and breakfast, a greenhouse operation, a graphic designer, a woodworker, or a high-tech animation business have anything in common, but they do. In West Virginia, they're all part of a thriving industry, the micro-business industry. Hi everyone, I'm Natalie Tennant, and today I'm going to take a look at how some of the state's smallest businesses are having a huge impact in West Virginia. Micro-businesses are found all over the world. Nationally, entrepreneurs working at many different levels are finding opportunities and filling the needs of people and businesses. In today's fast-moving economy, some businesses that have started at the micro level have grown at a phenomenal pace.
Micro businesses, when you look at the overall economy, provide an important role in making the economy more flexible. And if you travel around the world and you hear economists speak about one of the things that make the U.S. economy so strong, it's our flexible labor markets, and that can be, the credit for that is in large measure placed directly on micro business.
Not everyone wants to become the next Bill Gates, but hey, micro business doesn't necessarily mean micro profit. In fact, people find that they can grow their businesses to any level they choose. And in West Virginia, starting your own business may be the best option for you. But what exactly is a micro business? To find out, I visited with Pam Curry, Executive Director of the Center for Economic Options. The center is a private, nonprofit organization that works across West Virginia to find ways to help people join the economy by starting their own businesses.
The center has been around helping people in West Virginia find their place in the economy for almost 20 years now. And we, through the years, have done a variety of different activities to help people. We've done workforce development, and we've helped people get ready to enter the job force. But we've always done what we call small business development. And in recent years, we found that the opportunities really seem to lie with what we're calling micro business development. So we've marshaled all of our resources into helping people start or expand their own small businesses all around the state.
As a rule of thumb, the center defines a micro-business as a business that has 5 or fewer employees. Often these businesses are home or farm-based and build on the skills or interest of the business owner. Most of the time, these businesses are grown incrementally and have relatively low startup costs. Many of the state's micro-businesses rely on West Virginia's rich natural resources, so protecting and sustaining these resources is in their best interest. Did you know there are more than 32,000 registered micro-businesses in West Virginia employing over 73,000 people? That's over 10% of the workforce. And since that's just officially registered businesses, it's probably the tip of the iceberg. It's not surprising, though. Looking back, we find West Virginians of long ago were very self-reliant and entrepreneurial.
In the earliest years, in early 1800s and before, West Virginia economy was essentially a household economy, overwhelmingly agricultural. People did just about everything that was necessary to take care of themselves, including feed themselves, and engaged in kind of most shingling and ginsenging and whatever, baskets and all kinds of things like that, home crafts, which they then marketed. We generally don't appreciate how much of that was going on. The old general store used to be the conduit to the marketplace. The big change came between 1880 and 1920 when the coal industry was developed. And so that change happened really very quickly within one person's lifetime. We went from a household economy to one dominated by large resource corporations from outside the state, shipping raw materials out rather than developing sort of value-added industries within the state. Pretty much set the tone of the West Virginia economy in the 20th century until now.
From high-tech to farm-based, micro-businesses are again adding value to West Virginia's human and natural resources and adding value in all sectors of the economy. Micro-businesses also give people something else, control of their own economic destinies. Jerry Henderson, owner of a Governor's Inn bed and breakfast.
I think that the thing that gives me the most reward as a business person is that I truly hold my own destiny in my own hands. I can get up every day and I can decide where I want to take my business in the future. That was the one thing in corporate world I could not decide. I could not decide where that business was going to be 5 years from then. In owning your own business, you have the world out there and you can decide which one of the roads you want to take to get out to that world and what you want to do when you get there. Being a business person of your own, it gives you great joy in knowing that your future is in your own hands.
Owner of Green Creek Wood Shop, John Longwell.
I feel like I've always wanted the independence of having my own business, being able to make the decision on what job we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And I didn't think I was going to ever be able to do that while I was working for someone else. Plus, the ownership of your own business really gives you the flexibility in your time where, I mean, now I can decide if I need to go to the woods and cut trees, or if I need to be at the sawmill, or where I have to be at, or at the People's Marketplace or someplace like that. I can make those decisions on my own.
The main point to realize about micro businesses in West Virginia is that they are such an excellent fit for our communities. Many people run their businesses out of their homes or farms, and these businesses allow people to work without having to leave their communities. This is particularly important for West Virginia since so many people live in rural mountainous areas.
Well, I think people that live in rural areas need to be more self-reliant than people that live in the city. And the micro-business idea gives rural people a better chance at becoming successful in the business world, I think. First of all, most of the businesses are located in their homes, so transportation isn't a problem, which in a rural area like this, you've got quite a ways to go to get to the nearest other business that might be willing to hire somebody. So if you can start something close to your house, it's beneficial.
Charlotte Chandler, owner of Honey Oven Herb Farm, lives and works away from an urban area, but being a true entrepreneur, she found a way to turn her out-of-the-way location into one of her greatest assets, and a way to sell value-added products such as potpourris and bath oils alongside her wholesale flower and herb business.
The biggest change that we've had in the last year, changing from wholesale to retail, came about because we started having customers drive up to the farm to see our products, see what we had, and we started asking questions. Why would you come to such a remote area to get plants? And people would say, well, we just want to see how they look growing, because they had heard that we have our plants growing in this particular atmosphere, and they wanted to see that. So the more customers that we had come, we kept thinking, well, maybe we should change to the retail area of it. And that has really been a plus for us. Last spring and summer, we were just overwhelmed with the response that we had of people coming out here to get plants and walk over the farm.
From the country to the cities, micro businesses are allowing people to build wealth and help diversify West Virginia's economy. Very important with the decline in many of West Virginia's old economy industries. Jamie Cope, founder and president of Destiny Images, is tapping into today's high-tech business world by creating high-end animation for really hot markets.
Since today's featured letter is E,
The digital revolution has opened up amazing possibilities for West Virginia micro businesses. With the internet, FedEx, and fax machines, businesses can be located anywhere.
There are a few differences between me and say, a business in New York. One would have to be overhead. My overhead's going to be considerably lower than what they're paying. And another thing that I would like to think is a little different here is the quality of the work environment. And I think that as much as the employer would like to have complete control over that, a lot of it is dictated by the surrounding environment. And I think that West Virginia has a fairly casual environment, which is great for employees to come here who don't want to deal with that kind of hassle all the time.
In West Virginia, we hear a lot about bringing jobs in from outside the state, but in true entrepreneurial fashion, many micro business owners aren't waiting for jobs to come to them. They are creating jobs for themselves and in many cases generating business for others or expanding marketing opportunities. By working together, micro businesses are able to tap into markets that may be closed to a small business working alone. Networking with similar businesses is important for many micro business owners, and the Center for Economic Options has fostered this important strategy for success.
An enterprise network is a strategy to connect related businesses together in an informal structure. And we've had experience at the center with a variety of what we call enterprise networks, such as the Appalachian Flower Network, which is a loose network of people who are involved in the flower industry. We have a Forest Enterprise Network, and we link businesses related to our sustainable Appalachian hardwood forest industry. And we've had experience with linking businesses that are involved in knitting, commercial knitting around the state, and even spun that off into another nonprofit called Appalachian by Design. We found that those enterprise networks are a great strategy to get people together.
When I have a particular bad day or when I come up against a problem that I don't know how to solve, you need a network. You need somebody else who understands what your problem is. And then they might have already solved that, and they can give you really good, valid information. So when we set our bed and breakfast up, we faced a couple of those days where we didn't have the answers. We then talked with some of the other existing bed and breakfast owners in West Virginia, and we called for a meeting. And as a result of that meeting, we formed the Mountain State Association of Bed and Breakfast.
The Bed and Breakfast Association now does joint advertising for West Virginia's bed and breakfast industry and is able to reach audiences that would be difficult and expensive for one bed and breakfast working alone. Often micro businesses find ways to expand their customer base by working together. Becky Kimmons, a writer, and Barbara Stanley, a graphic designer, are both micro business owners, but have found that it's to their advantage to sometimes work together.
Oh, it's a terrific dovetailing process. You know, Barbara has wonderful expertise in graphic design. It would take me 20 years to turn out, you know, some of the stuff that she does pretty quickly. So it's a dovetailing. I mean, I don't want to spend my time learning new graphics programs that she already knows.
I'm a graphic designer, basically. I have some copywriting experience, but I feel that Becky has the expertise to put words together in a way that I wouldn't even dream of. She does it quickly. She has the ability to get to the core of what my clients need to market their product. She can do that in such a way that I can't.
A very simple aspect of what I'm doing as a home-based business in conjunction with Barbara Stanley is the impact that we're having on helping other larger businesses grow their business. Because we're doing the promotional pieces, the selling pieces, such as a piece for like sun-dried
sun-dried wood technologies and sunset structures and RC contractors. Those are larger companies that are creating business here for the state of West Virginia and bringing business in here. So we're the sales arm in a lot of respects, and we're creating more business for West Virginia.
Micro businesses are a good fit for West Virginia. They help diversify the economy, allow people to stay and work in their communities, and build assets and wealth for people and their families. Owning your own business can be very rewarding personally and financially, but it also takes a lot of hard work. The first step to micro business ownership may be realizing what a micro business is.
You know, first of all, if you ask people, are you a micro business, they just look at you with glazed eyes over, well, I've got 3 people working for me. I didn't really think I was a micro business. Or just me and one other person, we're operating a hobby farm that's making this really nifty product. Or, oh, there's 2 of us working on this consulting project. I didn't realize I was a micro business. And I think that the folks at the Center for Economic Options have obviously done an awful lot to improve the overall understanding of what micro business is, but there's also still remains a shortage of understanding about who micro businesses are, where they operate, and the important role that they play in our economy.
The Center's work with micro businesses is different from other services that may be available through more traditional means, in that we really focus on very small businesses. And these are often businesses where the owner doesn't really yet call what he or she is doing a business. And that's a whole education process. And, you know, look, you're generating income for yourself or your family. You're really good at what you're doing. You're operating a couple of businesses, really. You just need to think about what you're doing that way, and then determine whether it's something you want to put a little more energy into. Without a whole lot more energy, you could make it more profitable for yourself doing the same amount of work.
I guess anyone that is not in business for themselves don't really realize that even though we are a small business, or a micro business, I should say, it is not a hobby. This is what I am doing for a living. I'm very serious about it. It's not a fly-by-night thing. I've been in this business now for 5 years. I never went into it with the intentions of being an overnight success. Every year we have grew. We have not had 1 year yet that we have not been able to say we grew some this particular year. And if anyone doesn't go into a micro business with the idea that it's going to be challenging, then they're in for a big surprise. Because if you're not serious, if it is just a hobby, you need to keep it as that, just a hobby. But if you're serious, you need to come into it with the idea that it's going to be a big challenge and a lot of work.
When I started the business, I think I didn't quite fully realize how much time it was going to take to do the necessary administrative work. The balance that needed to be achieved there was a huge challenge between doing the work, the creative work, which I really, really enjoyed, and doing all that foundational work that must be done in administration in order to do the creative work. That was a huge challenge and remains a challenge, really.
In the first few years that I owned my business, I probably fell into the same pitfalls that I had spent years of my life educating other business owners to avoid. I had been in consulting, and I had worked with business owners about treating their business as a business from the first day. And I fell into that big pit hole. I decided that I really needed to get the painting done and the wallpapering done and the landscaping done, and I was so involved in those day-to-day chores that everybody faces when you get up in the morning that I avoided sitting down and doing the paperwork.
I would say the biggest challenge was just finding out where to start. There's a lot of things that seem really complicated whenever you're looking from the outside, as far as business licenses and insurance and things like that. But so the biggest step, I guess, was just getting over the fear of making that first step, figuring out what it's going to take to get started.
In my opinion, the greatest challenge faced by micro-business owners in West Virginia is for them not to give up. Running a micro-business is one of the most challenging things anyone can do in terms of generating income for their household. And we hear time and time again of all the challenges that come up, making it very difficult to keep determination, keep focused on, this is my business, I'm going to make a go of it. I think it's a real challenge for people to remind themselves that they can work through the bad times, they can face the challenges and get through them, and they don't need to give up and just try to look for a job instead of trying to run their own business.
Micro-businesses don't have to struggle, though. There are organizations working every day to help create environments for people to successfully own their own business. And studies are beginning to show how important this is to the state's economic future.
The first thing they do is they provide a labor market that's really flexible. It allows people to move in and out of jobs temporarily, summer jobs, part-time jobs, and small businesses, micro-businesses can do a lot better at absorbing demand changes than can big businesses, so that people might cut back on hours, they might not make the capital investments, they typically don't have to pay investors or stockholders. So the economy, that provides an economy buffer. The second thing that micro-businesses do is that they can expand really rapidly in a recovery, so that as the economy is getting better, and it may be difficult for big businesses to meet increasing demand, the small businesses can meet that demand without there being increases in prices. They can expand their operations. And so micro-businesses provide not just an important buffer, but an important part of smoothing the business cycle. And that is a laudable goal for any part of the economy.
It's a matter of economic development. It's a matter of caring. If the larger business owners know and can understand that micro businesses are very important to this state, and the way to support them is through seminars, giving the small business opportunity to these people to sell their products and services to you. And again, as an example, we knew that there was a need in this state for more micro businesses and small businesses. So we actually carved out a group of lenders from what we call the larger commercial lending area, where you do the $1 million loans. We actually carved out a department, it's called the Small Business Lending Department, to help the smaller businesses. And it's been extremely profitable.
I think the micro business part, as far as in West Virginia itself, is really growing. Seems to me like West Virginia has a lot of cottage industry that a lot of other states don't have, or maybe I'm not familiar with them, but it just seems to me like in West Virginia this is really a growing thing. And maybe it's because people are so remote. Micro business is more what we are because we only have a handful of employees any time during the year, and we're not working with millions of dollars in budget. We're working with a very, very small budget, but I think it's really growing in West Virginia as far as the micro business part of it.
I think there's a growing awareness and appreciation for micro-business development in the state's economy. In past years, up until fairly recently, the focus has been traditionally on industrial development, recruitment, retention, looking at the big plants. And then, you know, what people are starting to realize is that Toyotas aren't going to come to every community. They're great when they can come in and they offer a lot of opportunities, but in a lot of our communities around the state, that's just not going to be an option. What we're seeing kind of incrementally at the center is step by step, partners are coming in to talk with us and starting to get an understanding, or wanting to get an understanding of just what is micro business and how does it fit in the scheme of things. And that's rewarding on our part because we've felt that way for a long time, and we know the people who are out there running the micro businesses are wanting to. So it's kind of a validation of both what we know and what the people out in West Virginia are trying and have been trying to do for some time now.
I think that what would happen, instead of re-educating people to a self-sustainable economy, I would think that you work for a diversified economy. And in the process of developing a diversified economy, you would naturally reward and provide incentives to individuals who start small businesses, which should not be a strange thing for West Virginians to do. They've always done that, whether they think about it that way or not. And as they do that, you get out of the way and let them develop those businesses.
Good for the state's economy, good for business, good for our communities, and good for our families. Micro-business is definitely not business as usual in West Virginia. In fact, it may hold the key to long-term economic prosperity. Are you a micro-business owner? Do you have a skill, talent, or service that could be highly valued in today's global economy? You spend a big part of your life working, and it is truly a gift if you're able to do something that you really enjoy, that is productive and rewarding.
5 years from now, I would like to see West Virginia be the environment for micro-business in the country. I would love for micro-business to be an important part of our state's economy and to have it receive incentives and all kinds of special attention to offer support to people who want to start or expand very small businesses. I'd like for West Virginia to be the micro-business state in the country, and I think it's very possible. And I think we're going to do it.